Dodgy arpeggios. Here we go. This is a video on the Studiologic Numa Piano X. This version is the GT. There's three different versions. There's 288 key versions. This is the GT, which is called Grand Touch because it's got wooden keys and wooden sides and is generally just a lot heavier, but has a really nice touch to it. Anyway, I'm going to try and do a video where there's some playing, at least. I tend to waffle on, where people just want to hear the sounds, right? Yeah, I'm recording, double checking. Okay, so this was a bit of a journey. Not this music, but and I've been looking for a live keyboard for a little while, and this is where I ended up for various reasons, cost being one of them, but mostly flexibility of use, including use of external sounds and so external instruments with it. Okay, so let me go through some of the sounds as I go. So down here on our sound banks here, we have 8 different types of sound, and then a MIDI button, which we'll go to in a minute. But let me start initially with the acoustic pianos, which there are many. I'll just play through a few of them. This is the Steinway. I was going to say, it's the German Grand, which is going to be a Steinway. I'm still compressing this mic quite a lot, so 1 second. There we go. Oh, better. Okay, German Grand, Steinway. Then we've got Japanese Grand, which I imagine is modelled after a Yamaha. Let's go to F minor. Then I'm just going to go through a few of these other ones. This might also be a Steinway, like an American Steinway, I guess. I'm going to try not to breathe and do this too often, but it might happen. Sorry. Okay, yeah, American Steinway, I'm guessing. Italian Grand. Now, a lot of these sounds are pretty usable. Some I don't like as much. I'm not a huge fan of that Italian Grand. I'm sure people would like it. Vintage Grand, I'll just go through these quickly. C183 Japan, A Forster, it's quite nice, got a bit of grind in the resonance there. And then, I mean, I don't want to play through all of them because they will be here for a while if I did every sound on this, but tape recorded one, there's a felt piano, which I don't think is particularly good. The Austrian Grand, which I do like. It's got a lot of brightness that sounds nice. And then the Pop Grand, which I use a lot as well. I'm skipping through now, which I use for this because it kind of does that quite well. And a bunch of other stuff. Saloon, I haven't tried that one yet, so I kind of that sort of thing. Actually, quite works well for that sort of thing, I guess. Okay. You might be sitting going, well, I don't really like the sound of those pianos. And to be honest, there are better piano sounds out there. I initially was looking at a Nord. I mean, really, if I had the budget, I would go Nord Stage Grand 4. Nord Stage 4. Grand is a different thing. But it's well expensive, right? £4,000-ish in the UK, £4,000. And what I do like about this, and what I'll go into now, is actually, whilst these sounds are all here, they are relatively flexible in how you can edit them. And I've seen this in other pianos before, but I quite like how they've done it here, old Studiologic. The way they've presented or developed the piano samples in this is, I think, is samples in, and then they've used physical modelling to do some extra bits on top. I might be wrong, but that's what I gather. I know the electric pianos are fully physical modeling. Anyway, down here, we've got 4 settings. So this goes for every single piano in the Studiologic keyboard. So we have tone, which acts a bit like a guitar tone knob. It sounds quite nice at the top brightness, actually, especially at the top end. Doesn't make as much difference down here. Sounds more like a low-pass filter working on it, but you know, a bit of control. And then the string resonance makes less difference until I'm kind of putting the pedal down. So if I put the pedal, I'll do some sustained pedal stuff in A minor. And if I bring it up to where it was, start to get a bit more of the body of the piano and the resonance, the other strings working with each other. Into what I could think is quite an exaggerated version of it, but you just dial it down a bit, right? Don't know what I'm playing there, doesn't really matter. Get the idea. And then duplex, and I never heard of this before, which I might just be a noob for not knowing what it is, but that's what it is. And it's kind of a resonance thing, again, that was added to certain pianos to kind of get a bit more ring or shine out of the top notes. So if I take it all the way down and just play... I can hear like it's almost like a slap delay sort of sound at the top. This feels like a lot drier sounding, and I probably would not use it that often, but I understand why you might want to, because you turn it all the way up, and especially if you turn the string resonance all the way up as well. It sounds a little bit fake when you turn it all the way up, but the effect is nice, and actually live that would make a difference for me. And then pedal noise, because if you might want that louder. In fact, actually, if you were going for like a whole everything up sort of approach, you might kind of get that Oliver Arnoldsy sort of clunky piano. It sounds a bit over the top of having all those up the top. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my main page and go back to the settings I had before. But anyway, all the pianos have that same ability to be edited, and that is quite useful. And I think, particularly, I mean, I wanted to get some pianos which are just like almost nondescript, kind of straight ones. This is where I wanted the pop piano, because I think that kind of does the best job of that, and I actually want it to be a little bit less interesting, so it can kind of just cut and fit rather than be smushy. And sometimes I want smushy as well, so. See, there we that got that sound a bit better, and anything kind of. I'm also aware that you're getting the clunk of the keys coming up in the mic here, so that sound is not built into the sound. If I just turn this off for a second, you're getting that on top. I'm not going into a multi-mic mixer for this one. I'm going to figure a way of doing that without having to be long-winded. My idea is to try and make these videos slightly less long-winded to make, not to listen to, obviously. So, but yeah, there is going to be a clunk. Okay. So I'm going to move quickly into how the keyboard is set out before we move on to the Rhodes and electric piano sounds. Essentially, you're split into 4 groups, zones, whatever you want to call them, 4 instruments, 4 layers. You could use many other words to describe them, but there's 4 things, essentially. So in here, I've got, actually, let's build one up. So if I want to select something for this one, I press on this button, and I'll choose Rhodes, and then turn it on. And then I need to zoom in to enable it. So I'm going to enable zone status on, and then let's make that the zone, and then let's add another one here, and we will add other steel drum. Why not? Okay, cool. So then you have your 4 sounds essentially. If we play them, they should actually, these knobs, as well as turning them all the zones off, so we could have nothing. We can add everything at once, but they also act as volume knobs. So I'll turn them all the way up and then turn the main thing down just to get a level. And then that distortion, by the way, wouldn't be through the keyboard. That's going through. Essentially, how I'm recording this is it's going into my sound card and then out into my Roland Go mixer and into the phone. So the audio is recording into here, but it doesn't like high level. So any distortion is that, not this. And if I just turn all these down, that would probably make a bigger difference. Not that you want to hear all those things at once anyway, but the point is, that's it. You can kind of have your 4 zones, and you can split them across the keyboard in different ways. You can have them all just on at the same time, no split, or you can set them and easily go into here, and you can choose the, so pop grand, I can choose the low point, go across, choose the high point, and the same for all these guys. And then you can have it split up very quickly and easily across the keyboard. And actually, the more I've been using this, the quicker I've been getting at assigning such things. Hopefully I'll get even quicker again. So cool, that's my split. That's it. Nobody wants that, but you get the idea. And then I will go into other things, but first let's go into the electric piano sounds. So I'm just going to go out of here, cancel that, and go back into what was my German grand piano setting, and I'm just going to go to electric pianos. And there are a number of Rhodes pianos. Quick double check. New phone, still recording, excellent. Okay, that's the Rhodes. I like the Rhodes sounds on these, and there's a taste thing, obviously, but I really like them. So there's a few of these, obviously, as well. Mark II, Suitcase, 70s, Drive. I want to add effects to that, but you kind of get the idea. Wurlitzers, D minor, C major in the end. Various Wurlitzers, some pianettes, and then some like DX70, quite a lot of DX70 things, if you're so inclined. And with, similarly to the piano, but different as well, all the electric pianos are physical modeling only, no samples at all. So when we press and hold on our select buttons, we get different settings. So these settings are the same for all the electric pianos. So let me go back initially just to a Rhodes, so we kind of, everyone's a bit more comfy with what that sounds like. So we get to choose the hammer. The offset. Get some quite pretty sounds out of that. And then the tines. Which I kind of like. I kind of feel like I want to make some really clunky sort of sounds out of these. Which is more for a writing thing than a... but yeah, for anything else. I really like the amount of control, particularly on these electric pianos. I think you can get... It's just a little... Well, a lot of the time you're doing these things... Oh, it had pedal noise as well, but you don't need to be shown that again. A lot of the small things about the electric pianos I don't like are fixable with those parameters to me. Don't get me wrong, there's always millions of parameters you could change, but in this scenario I think it's pretty good. And there are insert effects and master effects, which I'll also get to. And so 2 insert effects per layer, per zone, and then some master effects. Okay, keys. I'll do the top row and then I'll talk about something else. Clav, and some of these are less useful, but you know, they're harpsichord. It's a very nice sounding harpsichord. So as you'll see, apart from the acoustic piano and the electric pianos, we have those separate settings for each of them. In everything else, you get assigned just the controls of cutoff, resonance, so I guess like a 4-pole filter of some sort, and then attack. You know, slowly come into things, or really quickly. Actually, that attack sounds almost like it's affecting the resonance at the top of that end. Mostly works after 64 on this, and then release as well, which doesn't always make a difference to all the sounds. Obviously, if I press the sustain pedal down, it stays down. Yeah, so the release doesn't work on everything, but it makes sense in that scenario. Well, so I'm skipping past stuff because there's lots of things in here. Marimba, which sounded like it was recorded slightly too far away for my liking. Okay, xylophone. Celesta. That's quite nice. Bells. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, tubular bells don't tend to go that high, but they kind of sound quite nice. What they've done to stretch that across to that level. So glockenspiel, toy piano, that's quite nice actually. I was looking for a toy piano sound the other day, now I've got one in here. And then some Mellotron stuff, which I'm not going to play them all, but the flutes I love. Beautiful stuff. And then some string machine stuff, which is quite nice to add. I wish I had more control of these. I love a Logan string machine, and I feel like this doesn't really sound like one. But that's because I wouldn't have all the levels up on the Logan string machine at the same time. Okay, bass and guitars. I mean, I'm really not going to use these sounds, but you know, they're here and it might be useful for some people, I guess. Worth noting in this moment, there is a pitch bend and a mod wheel. I'm looking at you, Nord Electro, Nord Piano, and Nord Grand. Quite possibly would have got a Nord Piano and spent a lot more money than I spent on this, because I like the Nord Piano a lot. It doesn't have a pitch bend or a mod wheel. For me, I need one, because this is going to be also as much a live controller, a live keyboard, as a studio controller for me. Just as a space thing, I wanted to have something that could act as both, and I could just lift out when I needed to do a gig. Okay, fretless, bass and ride, if you want to do that. Of course you do. Classical guitar, acoustic guitar, I guess steel string, a terrible string, a 12-string sound. Not terrible, it's not fair. Oh, stuff I'm never going to use. Okay, I'm not going to go through all those because I'm not going to use them. Top row done. Right, the next exciting thing that I really, really like about this in terms of its flexibility is the MIDI control. So let me go back out to the main page and then we'll choose a second zone. Oh, I've already done it. But pretend I didn't do it. Let's actually turn that one off and do this one instead. Zoom in to enable. We'll go with this one and then we're going to choose a MIDI. I've already done it. So I've got two choices here. I've got MIDI Din and MIDI USB. I'm going to use both in this scenario. Wow. Let me turn that piano off. And this. Let's go into the Prophet right here, which is... interestingly sounding mono. So let me just check. Something I wasn't going to quite show yet, but that... have I plugged it into... No, I've not. Whatever happened, it's fine. We'll come back to that. But essentially, this is also a audio interface, and you can route audio through things as well. Quick check on the phone. Still recording. Back to my main page so I can make a better point of this. I can assign things via a MIDI DIN cable, a normal MIDI cable, to other instruments, and I can just have it as an extra layer on here. So, for instance, I could have my bass. Let's do a split. Set, hold to set. Okay, that one there, and then this one here, we can set just to be the top end of it. I mean, I'm not playing anything useful here, but you get the idea. It just quickly becomes part of the instrument, and this is how I plan to do stuff live. Definitely, I tend to do a lot of synthy stuff, and being able to kind of assign stuff, and you can send program changes as well. So I can set it to let's go over here again. So if I press and hold, zoom in, and then you go to the right, you get settings of various other settings. So like octave shift, transpose, aftertouch, what the mod wheels and pitch wheels go to, and the 3 pedal choices as well as some knob undefined things. And somewhere on here, I've looked at the wrong bit, haven't I? Oh, I should know this, but there is a way of doing program change. How do I do it? There we go. Let me press on that again. So then, yeah, so you choose which MIDI channel. So if you say have more than one external instrument plugged in, you could send it to various MIDI channels and set these to receive to different MIDI channels, which is what I will do with other things, and then program change. So we could, I mean, it's doing it now. I'm not sure how you get it to do a bank change necessarily, but currently, I mean, I haven't got that far yet, but it will do that. So I haven't gone to Master Effects yet, but you can also send these things to the Master Effects as well. So, okay, so yeah, very easy to have other keyboard stuff set in. You could also have it to be, let me just turn on Logic over here, assigned to a laptop or my desktop at the moment, but this is how I'm going to use it. You also can get a laptop stand for this that kind of magnetically connects and slots into the back of the keyboard to give you a little space for your laptop. Genius! I've wanted that for a while, so I don't have to bring a frickin' laptop stand to things as well. Let me turn everything else off except for our MIDI USB layer. Make sure it's set to everything. Yeah, and well, it's already happening. I'm controlling Logic's, and this is where it opens up. And we could even do a horrible comparison between what is many gigabytes of piano to a piano which is probably fewer gigabytes, but Oh, interesting noise. Okay, let me just choose an. German grand piano. Oh. So this is the piano in Studiologic. I could do this. Is a Steinway versus Steinway. Piano in blue. It's probably quieter. So let me fix that for a second. I mean, I can change it on here as well. Actually, let's just do that. I'm going to turn it up in contact as well because I can. And then I'll turn down to make it slightly fairer. So if you don't like the pianos in here, you can easily control them, your VST pianos, on using the MIDI interface in here. What I'm going to end up doing is having a laptop set up on different and have just like 16 sounds that I need for a gig. If I need more, I have to figure out another way of doing it. But and then sending, using each of these MIDI channels to a sound, affect each of these sounds in Logic. Saves me doing main stage. I love main stage, but I'm just thinking for a quicker way of working, that would be my way of setting stuff up. Postcard Piano by Teletone Audio. And actually, one of the ways I can turn things up, because it sounds quiet, that's probably because my audio levels are low. I've not set this properly, have I? USB level, there we go. So you have this assignable knob which can be assigned to either be USB audio or audio in level. But anyway, cool. I can set and play all sorts of other things from your many or my many VST libraries that I've amassed over the time, and you'll be able to do the same thing. And I can play things like this with Spitfire strings instead of, this is one thing. If we could fix this and have a slightly better choice of strings. Where's that staccato? Okay. So this brings me to string sounds in every keyboard. Let's be honest. Nord, Yamaha. God, Yamaha. I was really disappointed in the string sounds on the Yamaha keyboards. The Nord ones aren't as bad. I almost thought about getting a Prophet X, which I love the idea of getting a Prophet X at some point as well, by Sequential, because then at least I got all of 8DO's nice string samples. But these strings are not good. Some of them are more usable than others. But I feel like they're just in the world of things like Spitfire and Berlin and strings and all those things, it's quite hard to accept this sort of sound now, or at least for me. It's probably usable for many people, but not for me. Other sounds on here, it just reminds me of MIDI world, Oboe, English horn, jazz flute. One of these flutes was quite nice. Not too bad. Alto flute. I mean, pan flute. Probably not going to use French horn section. Again, in the world of Spitfire, etc. 3 different trombones. Jazz trumpet. There's a lot of stuff in here. Cool. Yeah, I'm not going to use many of these things. I think the timps are okay. Nope. Okay, I'm not going to use these, but for some people they will do. One thing I will say that Studiologic is bringing out new packs quite often, or not often, but they are bringing out new packs. So maybe some of these things will improve over time, and I hope they do. But also don't begrudge them for not doing it, because they have set it up quite easily for you to set your laptop up and use many gigabytes of VST audio, and I don't expect them to necessarily have like 100 gigabytes worth of Spitfire strings, right? Okay, quickly go into well, I've done organ or synth or other things. Okay, organ. This does not have a drawbar section like the Nord Stage, Electro, the Yamaha CK series, etc. You are kind of limited in what you're able to do, but I will say the organ sounds in it are fairly usable. At least I don't play much organ stuff, but if you're just having a patch where you kind of do some stuff, you can set the pedals. It's a 3 pedal inputs on here, and you could set that to be a volume pedal. You know, you can't set it to change the speed of the Leslie, but you know, usable enough, I think, for most of my scenarios. And this is where people are going, "Nate, sounds terrible compared to other organs," like I'm like with the Orchestral Sounds. So you know, that's just me. I don't do much organ stuff, you know. E flat and E-Jo, sure. But I don't mind them. Like, again, I know they're not the best thing in the world, but I think for a lot of things I'm going to be doing, it's going to be all right. I think the settings are the same as for the other things. It gives you a lot of options, at least, to kind of play around with. Like, I kind of imagining I'm going to be doing things like that. So, you know, there's options which aren't all unusable. And that's kind of your... When I have the Korg M1 sounds pack on here, so I'm probably going to be using that, but if I didn't have that, not so bad, not so bad. At least in the right area. So lots of stuff in there. Synth. So synth isn't, you know, again, it doesn't have a proper synth engine in where you can change various factors about the sound. I've got a Prophet here, which I probably won't be gigging with, but I've got a Hydrasynth, which I probably will be gigging with, which is going to take care of most of the synth sounds. But say I have 2 synths or need 2 synth sounds at the same time, there's going to be stuff in here I can use. So the synth pad is quite nice. I'm not a synth pad person necessarily, but I'd use this. I quite like playing it. Every time I've turned this on, I'm like, oh, this is quite fun. I can kind of come up with some nice, pretty things on there. I'm going to skip past a lot of the stuff, like vocal pad, choir pad, that I'm just not going to use. Maybe I will. Maybe I'm going to join a band where those sounds are so necessary. Quite like that one. Cool. Stuff. Chill out. The point is I'm going to get to is they do have single analog modeling waves. Let me just turn effects off. A very digital sounding saw wave, but a very usable sounding digital saw wave. And then again, we still have these controls. This gives me a starting point. So if I go back to that and just go, so that's if I put a bit of reverb on, I got, and it's kind of the sound. It's just a straight saw wave, right? So there are some basics in here which make life a bit easier. Detuned saw wave with a fifth, which is less useful, but still, I would like to have a more squishy unison saw wave, I guess. But it's there, and then saw with octave, saw cluster. I mean, anyway, stuff. And then you have the same thing with square wave and pulse wave, and also 2 different types of pulse wave, I should say. Kind of guess in like this way and this way of square wave, and then triangle wave. No sine wave. A sine wave would have been quite nice. Again, everything is for, right? But which a triangle wave doesn't quite work with. But I don't need it because I'm going to be using other synths for that. But it's, you know, that would be nice to have a sine wave in there to do stuff. Okay, last sound pack. Other. Cassetto. Which I think is some kind of accordion, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm guessing partly because it's followed by an accordion after that fact. Various accordions, harmonium, choir, not necessarily realistic sounding choir, but bouzouki, oud. Some of those are actually more useful than I'd imagined. Sure, and mizmar and ney. Steel drum. I think the steel drum was okay. Can't remember. Not too bad. Some drum kits. That's all the internal sounds I've got so far. I haven't downloaded everything of the new stuff that's up on the website. There's a harp that I'm interested in seeing what that sounds like, which would be quite useful for some sounds I'm doing. So let's go into the effects stuff with the EP Mark 1. So as I said, each of your layers, let's go to that for a second. Each of your layers can have 2 separate insert effects. As with most of the way this keyboard works, and apologies, you can't see these because this desk has got a hole for this bit, but not, it's a new keyboard. I need to make a bigger hole. There you go. That's what I need to do. But they have a reverb and a delay for the master effects, and you can change the type. And with all these, as I said, or I was about to say, you can change the type of things here by pressing down. Anytime there's anything in brackets, it's kind of like the shift button on Nords, where you have to press the shift button to do it, and here you just press and hold. So with reverb type, you've got quite a few different reverbs. Springs, cathedral. These are okay. I quite like them. I've heard nicer reverbs, but it don't do too badly. And delays seem to have only a couple of types. Go out there. Press and hold. Yeah, delay 1. And a ping pong, which I guess is a stereo effect one. So you press and hold gets the type. If you just press on them, you go between the 3 different parameters. So each effect has 3 parameters you can affect. So in this scenario, we have the BPM of what the quarter note delay is going to in this scenario. Actually, as you go on, yeah, okay, so as you go further through, you can go for quarter notes, and quarter notes the stuff you can get to. Okay, fine. Too fast. And then feedback. And then high dampening, high damp. I guess if you go all the way up here, it'll kind of sound very digital. Oh no, the higher up it goes, the more it damps. Okay, makes more sense, Cool, useful stuff. I did the master effects first because I'm talking quickly. So 2 insert effects per layer. That's what I was trying to say earlier on. I distracted myself. And then if you press and hold on the type, you get many different things. So you've got distortion, overdrive, warm drive, auto wah, which is quite nice, and pedal wah, which I guess you need to have a pedal attached to it to make that work. LFO wah. Again, distortion is sound card, not the keyboard. auto pan, which is probably what you're going to use for this sort of thing. And again, each of these have 3 separate effects parameters you can change. I don't have to pan it so much, but I can make it really go fast. Cool, stuff like that. Let me keep going through the effects. Tremolo, which is a mono auto pan, I guess. Vibrato, which is quite cool to have actually, because that doesn't always happen, and that's quite nice to have alongside some kind of wobblier sounds, an equalizer, and a compressor. And I guess most of the time I'll probably end up using one effect insert and then using the other one for either EQ or compressor. And it's a shame there's not a compressor master effect, but you know, this is not as expensive as keyboards that do have that. So that's all the effects. And as I say, yeah, each of those can be different per layer, and the master effects, they act more as sends. So I can sending as much as I want of that one to that. And then I can send it more to delay and do it that way. It would be quite nice. I mean, it's more expensive for Studiologic, and I can understand why they didn't, but if those encoders kind of went up with this, so you can kind of see on the fly. Everything is menu-based in that sense, although it's very intuitive from how it's been set out. The last thing I want to show you is that the keyboard has 4 audio inputs, and you can set these inputs to be differently done. Know what I mean there? You could basically have 4 mono inputs, or 2 mono, 1 stereo, or 2 stereo. In this scenario, I'm using the Prophet, and that's going into, I think we said 3 and 4. And I've actually got my guitar pedals plugged into 1 and 2. I love that there's 4 inputs into you're not going to need it so often. I think if you're using a lot of external keyboards, or if you're a multi-instrumentalist like I tend to do a lot more of these days, I can have my sax with effects going into this as well. So it works certainly well in smaller venues where you know the track count's going to be a bit much, and you're just going, cool, here's 2 cables, that's all my stuff, and then I can control it separately on stage. And the USB audio is actually separate to those 4 inputs as well, so you know you've got all that to play with. But I really like it. And again, this is what I was going to do. I was going to go into here, and then I was going to go. Let's get the Prophet going in again. So MIDI Din. Let's make a short sound just to show off this next thing. I was trying to get this to go into the effects. It doesn't work that way. Would be cool, but I understand why it doesn't. Obviously, I can send. This is where I can send. So these buttons have now changed color to match the audio input colors here, and I believe this is our Prophet volume. Yeah. Then I can send things to the master effects, which is cool, right? I get an extra reverb. There's a reverb already on here, but maybe I want to use other effects on there, and then I can send things to a reverb instead. I think, if I remember rightly, there's also I thought there was an EQ on each of these as well. I might be wrong. Let's just double check that. If I press and hold. Yes, there is. So if you going into that zone, it does take a moment to learn where things are. It's not per function like the Nords are, but it is really intuitive, and I haven't spent enough time to be super quick with it yet. But I'm looking forward to that because it's really cool when you're really fast at stuff. So if I want to go to the audio input stuff, I press on the audio microphone symbol thing here. In fact, master equalizer. And then similarly to how the zones are working for press and hold, that's when I get to EQ. And these then become these functions. So I could... And I think this is being updated to be a bit more parametric, so you can choose what the mid gain and mid frequency is. You can get really mad with the gain if you really want to. You don't really need to in this scenario. But yeah, options to add effects to your audio inputs. I think that's everything. I'm trying to remember. There's anything else I need to talk about. If I go into sound banks, that's nothing. That's just sound banks. Oh, so you can choose. Yeah, so you can assign things to favorites. Actually, that's a good point. So saving stuff is quite straightforward. You just, once you're in this, so this is the main page button, main zone page, I guess, or overview, zone overview. If you press tick on here, then you can write it, and then you can change the name of things in that place as well. I think you can choose. Yeah, so if I go like this, oh, I've forgotten how to do it. Forgotten how to do it. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, so you can change the names. Rodal D, sure. In there is also an app where you can do this on a computer, which is what I tend to do. Rodal D, just because it's quicker. But the apps are pretty good. They're a good way of kind of doing things that computers are better doing in terms of organizing your patches, your programs. I haven't yet saved things to favorites. I'm sure there's a way of doing that I just haven't learned yet. I haven't needed to do it. I think I'm going to do everything as a program and kind of, start each gig from whichever program I want to get to. There are 250 programs, and there's a master EQ that has a parametric thing going on, and then you have you can control the master effects return as well from there. There are settings, master settings, transpose, tuning, local control, on and off common channel, keyboard sensitivity. The keyboard sensitivity thing is interesting. You can actually change the balance between the black and white keys, which is quite cool. And I think you can choose individual key settings to be slightly less or more sensitive, that's amazing, I think. I mean, I don't think I'm actually going to do that. Oh, no, I've changed it now. That one. But if you really are being nerdy about your piano sounds, I imagine particularly, and you're finding certain notes are always a bit too loud for you, which I haven't felt yet, because, I mean, the key bed on this is blooming gorgeous. The only other key bed I liked more when trying lots of other ones, and I say more by a small amount, was the Nord Grand, which has got a really nice Kawai key bed in, but it costs more and weighs more, although this does weigh a lot as well, and I will be getting some exercise out of taking this to gigs. I ended up with this one because it was second-hand at Anderton's, and it was an excellent price. As I've been looking through these keyboards a lot, and suddenly thought, I think this is the one. Just didn't know which to get. Suddenly this showed up secondhand on Anderton's. I'm like, okay, fate has led me here. Okay, I hope that's been useful. There's a lot to get through, and I probably missed some stuff out. Inputs, outputs, pedals, 4 inputs. I said there are 3 pedal inputs, which you can assign to different things. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I can't say I've been out gigging with it yet. I will probably do a video to report back once I've done a few gigs with it, so I can kind of see where it actually fits in my world and if it does the job I'm hoping it does. The main thing I want it to do is do piano sounds and road sounds easily, and I don't have to bring a whole big old setup, which is what I used to do. I used to bring 2 MIDI keyboards, a laptop stand, a MIDI keyboard for the Prophet, and just have loads of stuff. Now I'm hoping I'm not going to take the Prophet anymore, but I'm going to take the Hydra synth, which I'm going to place here, and then I've got a laptop accessory thing here with a laptop, and that's it. Keyboard stand. That's all I need. And a bag. There is a case you can get for this, the Studiologic make, with wheels, because I'll need them, because this is a heavy mofo. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed that. If you've got this far, congratulations to you. I think it's an interesting choice to have, because there's just so many obvious things with the Nord and the Yamaha CP. I forget the other series of it, or YP series. Yeah, anyway, all the Yamahas, and then Rolands, which I don't get on with Rolands for some reason. And I was going through all these things and almost went back to going, I'm just going to get a really nice MIDI keyboard. And that's how I kind of came back here, because I had a lovely Studiologic to start with. And I thought, ooh, I forgot they made keys. I went, ooh, like that, apparently. And when I read about the flexibility and how it's set out, I was like, this is it. This is exactly it. And it's a cost-effective solution comparatively to the Nords. This cost me, I don't even want to say, but I know brand new is about 12 to 1300, I think. The non-wooden keys, but weighted keys is, I want to say, about £1,000, and then the 73 key version is a couple of £100 less than that. Something like that. I'll try and put it up on the screen. Comparable to the Yamaha CK series in terms of price, and the CK series is really good, but I found it limited in the sounds it had, and I didn't see that it was going to be expanded at any time. And the way you could route to other MIDI devices, but it was a bit fiddly comparatively to this. And then the audio input side on this was just really useful, and how I can assign it. And yeah, that's kind of it. I didn't really like the feel of the keyboard as much on the Yamaha. It wasn't bad. I've played on much worse things, but this is gorgeous. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Thanks very much for listening.